Friends, good morning to all of you. This is Ruchira Vaidya and you are watching my YouTube channel that is for CA Final Auditing. Now in this video lecture we are going to do Essay 260, that is communication with those charged with governance. Now we shall begin with the objectives of the auditor. What are the objectives of the auditor? The objectives of the auditor include to communicate clearly with those charged with governance the responsibilities of the auditor in relation to the financial statement audit and an overview of the planned scope and timing of the audit. Next is to obtain from those charged with governance information relevant to the audit. Then to provide those charged with governance the timely observations arising from the audit and in relation to the significant relevant responsibility to oversee the financial reporting process, and last to promote effective two-way communication between the auditor and those charged with governance. Now friends, what is the definition of those charged with governance? Now it means a person or organization, example the corporate trustee, with the responsibility for overseeing the strategic direction of the entity and obligations related to the accountability of the entity. It also includes for some entities, those charged with governance may include management personnel, for example, executive members of a governance board of a private or public sector entity. Now we come to the definition of the management. Now what is management? Management means the persons with executive responsibility for the conduct of the entity's operations. Now these were the objectives. These were the objectives and the definitions of those charged with governance and management. Now we come to the next point, that is to whom to communicate the matters. Now friends, what are the matters to be communicated is a different thing, and whom to communicate the matters we will be learning now. Yes, the auditor shall determine the appropriate persons within the entity's governance structure with whom to communicate. Now, governance structure varies by the entities. In most of the entities, governance is the collective responsibility of a governing body such as board of directors, supervisory board, partners, proprietors, the committee of management, council of governors, trustees or equivalent persons. Now also in some cases the appropriate persons with whom to communicate may not be clearly identifiable from the applicable legal framework or other engagement circumstances. Now what is this? For example, entities where the governance structure is not formally defined, such as family owned entities, some not-for-profit organizations and some other government entities. Now in such cases the auditor may need to discuss and agree with the engaging party the relevant persons with whom to communicate. Now next portion is what are the matters to be communicated. This is one of the important topic. Okay, now let's begin with that. The first point is the auditor's responsibilities in relation to the financial statement audit. Now in this point, friends, what it covers: the auditor shall communicate with those charged with governance the responsibilities of the auditor in relation to the financial statement audit, including that the auditor is responsible only for forming and expressing an opinion on the financial statements that have been prepared by the management with the oversight of those charged with governance. The audit of the financial statements does not relieve management or those charged with governance of their responsibilities. Friends, it means that auditor is responsible for conducting the audit and expressing an opinion on the financial statements, but management is responsible for preparation of the financial statements with the oversight of those charged with governance. Now the next point is planned scope and timing of the audit. What does it say? The auditor shall communicate with those charged with governance an overview of the planned scope and timing of the audit, which includes communicating about the significant risks which are identified by the auditor during conducting the audit. Now next point is significant findings from the audit. Now the auditor shall communicate with those charged with governance the following things. Now what are they? the auditor's views about significant qualitative aspects of the entity's accounting practices, including accounting policies, accounting estimates, and financial statement disclosures. When applicable, the auditor shall explain to those charged with governance why the auditor considers a significant accounting practice that is acceptable under the applicable financial reporting framework not to be most appropriate to the particular circumstances of the entity. Now, significant difficulties, if any, encountered during the audit may include the matters. Now, what are those matters? Now, these matters include as significant delays by the management, the unavailability of entities' personnel, or the unwillingness by the management to provide information necessary for the auditor to perform the auditor's procedures, an unreasonably brief time within which to complete the audit, then extensive unexpected effort required to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Sometimes the unavailability of expected information is also one of the barrier for the auditor to conduct the audit in a successful manner. Sometimes the restrictions may be imposed on the auditor by the management. Now the next point is that unless all of those charged with governance are involved in managing the entity, the significant matters arising during the audit that were discussed or subject to correspondence with management may include such matters as significant events or transactions that occurred during the year, business conditions affecting the entity, and business plans and strategies that may affect the risk of material misstatement, significant matters on which there was disagreement with management, etc. Now the next point is written representations the auditor has requested. Now the written representation the auditor may request and the circumstances that affect the form and content of the auditor's report include what? Any other significant matters arising during the audit that in the auditor's professional judgment are relevant to the oversight of the financial reporting process. Now friends, last but not the least point, now we come to the point factors affecting the form of the communication. Now this includes whether discussion of the matter will be included in the auditor's report, whether matter has been satisfactorily resolved, whether management has communicated the matter previously, the size, operating structure, control environment and legal structure of the entity, and legal requirements. Also, there are some other points like the expectations of those charged with governance, including arrangements made for periodic meetings or communications with the auditor, whether there have been significant changes in the membership of a governing body, etc. Now, timing of communications, the auditor shall communicate with those charged with governance on a timely basis. Now, it is also important that the auditor shall evaluate whether the two-way communication between the auditor and those charged with governance has been adequate for the purpose of the audit. If not, the auditor shall evaluate the effect, if any, on the auditor's assessment of the risk of material misstatement and ability to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, and accordingly has to take the appropriate action. Now friends, this was the standard SA 260 communication with those charged with governance. The various brief points I have tried to cover here. I hope you like this video, and if you like this video, please give a thumbs up. We will be coming with the next video soon. So everyone, stay healthy, take care.